We Need to Talk, Tony Street's lifestyle and wellness podcast.
Hello, it is great to have you with us on We Need to Talk. Now, money. It can still feel like one of those topics many of us women in particular still don't talk about enough. I have loved this wave of financial podcasts and more women talking about it. And my guest is here to change all of that today as well. Her name is Victoria Harris. She's the founder of The Curve and has built a passionate community focused on making investing approachable, understandable, and something every woman feels confident doing. I personally love this approach because it opens up a world that many of us have actively avoided, me being one of them for many, many years. It seems to be quite a wave. It's lovely to have you on the podcast and so refreshing to have a young female who loves finance.
Yeah, I'm an anomaly. Anomaly?
Yes,
anomaly.
You really are.
Yes. No, lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm just so fascinated about how this all came about. You've got this big following talking about finance. If you'd said to me 10 years ago that there'd be a podcast talking about finance and people actually wanted to listen, I would have been surprised. But I get now how people are. So tell me about The Curve, first of all, and how that started.
Yes. So that started about 5 years ago now. And me and my co-founder, Sophie, she has had a content background her whole life, executive producer, all of that. And I have studied finance, had a career in finance, and I constantly had friends coming up to me being like, hey, Vic, you know, look, I've got my first paycheck, or I've got a pay rise, or I want to save for a house deposit. Like, how do I go about it? I want to learn this stuff and I don't know where to go. It's so overwhelming. It's so confusing. And I was like, yeah, cool. Let's sit down. Let's have a coffee. And then it got more and more friends, and it got wider and wider. And I was like, oh gosh, I need to point these women somewhere because
there's a need.
This is too much. It's too much caffeine and too much ketchup.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so Sophie was actually one of those friends. And she was like, look, Vic, I've got a tax back and I'm going to invest it. And I was like, oh, yes, amazing. She's like, I'm going to put it in term deposit. And I was like, oh, you know, you can do more than that. Like, she was like, but that's investing. And it started this whole conversation. So we started recording that, turned it into a podcast, and it just blew up. And we were like, oh gosh, there's a gap here. There is a need. And also, yes, my friends had me to talk to, but there was so many women out there that had no one relatable, you know, that was approachable, that they could talk to. So the podcast was a really great way. And like you said, you know, money and finance, there is still a taboo around it. And so a podcast is quite a nice, intimate way of learning without, you know, telling the whole world you're learning, all of that. So it really blew up. And then we started doing events. Very quickly, those events went from like 30 people to 250 people. And we do a lot of in corporate kind of workshops and upskilling staff. And yeah, it just kind of snowballed, to be honest. And I just started a new job and I was like, oh gosh.
This is getting bigger than my job.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to have to speak to my boss about this. And so, quit my job about 3 years ago now. And haven't looked back since.
Oh, yeah. I love this so much for you because I think good on you for seeing an opportunity and diving in. But I also think for a lot of women, because I know a lot of women that have taken a back seat in their career and, you know, they potentially have stayed home and looked after the kids and then suddenly the relationship splits and they're high and dry. And if they had perhaps taken the investment advice early, like I'd love my daughters and my son to do, then they would have that more money behind them that they could actually do something with.
Oh, totally. It's that story is one of probably the most common that we have in our community. And we're targeting kind of a 25, 45, 50-year-old age group.
Yes.
And there is a lot of life milestones within that, whether it's, you know, traditionally you're buying first home, marriage, children, divorce, you know, there's a lot in there. And yeah, unfortunately that is one of them, is people think, you know, they're going to be together forever with their partner, or they don't realize the impact that having children has on their earning capacity, all of that. And, you know, when you're going through those emotional times, you don't want to be thinking about, oh gosh, my finances. You want to be able to have sorted that out previously, or be in a really good financial, you know, confident position that you can lean into the emotional side and deal with the emotional side, and that's it. But yeah, taking time out and having children, taking time out of a career and not earning, or not earning as much, or, you know, whatever the situation is one of the main reasons that there is a gender wealth gap. We have about 40% less in our pensions or our KiwiSaver than men. And all of that, yes, there's the gender pay gap, but the biggest one is the impact that taking time out of the workforce has on your kind of financial trajectory. And it's compounded. It's not just that, I'm just going to take 2 years out, or if I'm going down to part-time. It's the compounding impact of that lower amount year on year on year on year. And so we always say, make sure you're talking to your partner, and this is a team kind of.
We're in it together.
Yeah, we're in it together, financially and otherwise. Or talk to your employer. All those little things can help. But yeah, women need to know this stuff even more so than men, because we're the ones that are impacted.
We've got the raw end of the stick.
It's called the motherhood penalty.
Yes. And it absolutely is.
And it takes 10 years on average to get back to your pre-parenthood level of earnings.
That's astronomical.
Wild. Yeah.
Now, I want to pick up on another word you just talked about there, and that's compounding, right?
Yes.
So you have the compounding negative aspect of not earning, but I feel like this is at the crux of what you say. And traditionally, women, men as well, you would earn your salary and hope that was going to get you somewhere in life. That's just not the case, right? And I remember my mum saying to me when I was young, and I didn't really understand it, you need to make your money work for you. You're not going to get rich off your salary. I heard that, but it didn't really compute, right? What does that actually mean?
Yeah. Well, investing isn't what you do when you're rich. It's how you get rich. And you're so right. Your salary, if you were, climbing the corporate ladder, you might get inflation a little bit more. Yes, you might jump to a new job and get a bit of a step up, but it's not going to be the way that you are really going to make a difference in your wealth and have enough for retirement. The key thing is to start young. The younger that you start and the younger that you put away, KiwiSaver is so great for this point of view. But if you put away 3%, 4%, 5%, the sooner you start, the smaller the amount that you have to put away, because you're right, it compounds year over year over year. If you leave that till your, 60s, 50s, 60s, that... I think there's some kind of stat, and I can't remember it for the life of me, but it's like you have to put away about 30 or 40% of your salary if you wanted to have enough to retire, based on average salaries and all of that. So that is a significant impact on your lifestyle. Whereas, 3, 4, 5% when you're in your 20s. I wish I'd put away way more in my 20s. And I was out having a great time.
I do too. Even just, if you had an automatic payment that had $10 going into it,
And that's the great thing with KiwiSaver is you don't get it and then have to give it away. You don't even get it. You don't get it in your bank account. So there's no temptation.
And know about it. It's just happening.
Totally. And so if you can, even for some people, the best way to increase their investing is to increase that amount. That's great, because for a lot of people, they can dip into it for their first home, which is a much more kind of a closer timeline than retirement.
Yeah, it's got that flexibility.
And we talk to 20-year-olds about saving for their retirement. They're like,
Even me at 42, sometimes I think, oh gosh, even though it's not that far away. But it does. It seems far away. But then when you see your KiwiSaver growing, it does definitely give me peace of mind. I think, oh yes.
You're like, I want to put more in. And that making money while you sleep is a big thing. We always talk about, it's like magic.
It's like free money.
And what I would love someone to be working for me, while I'm sleeping. How great.
100%.
We find though it's trying to find that balance of living in the now and saving for the future. And for a lot of our community, that's probably the hardest thing is, when you're in your 20s and you've got all your friends going out for dinners and going to parties and nice holidays.
Go on a trip,
Yeah, you're kind of like, I want that too. And I think it's finding that right balance for you and being a bit strict on yourself and just knowing that, okay, this isn't $100 on dinner. It's actually $1,000.
Yes.
Thinking of it like that, because if I put this $100 away for dinner, that's what it's going to be.
That's the compound that's going to get me in however many years.
Yeah.
You're listening to We Need to Talk with Toni Street.
Can I just ask where you sit? So, like, take me, for example.
Yep.
I've in a salaried job, do a bit on the side. I've got KiwiSaver.
Yep.
Would you also be rocking an investment account alongside? Bearing in mind, I also have a mortgage.
Yeah, look, I mean, congratulations. You're doing so many.
Congratulations, you have a massive mortgage.
No, but like that is an investment in itself.
Yes.
That's good debt.
Yes.
That is leverage that is helping you create wealth. And so, yes, when you log in and you see your bank balance and it's negative and you're like, you are helping yourself move forward financially. And so that's like, congratulations. And then you've got KiwiSaver, amazing. Like, you are putting away part of your salary, amazing. Like, and it is a bit of a female thing. We always think we could do better, and we always think we get comparing ourselves to other people, and but they've got 2 houses, or no, but they've got this much in their KiwiSaver, or even they might drive a nice car, and you everybody is so different, and it's personal finance. It's called that for a reason, because your situation is different to mine, different to theirs, different. Everyone's so different, and as long as you are kind of true to yourself and going, okay, this is the maximum amount that I can invest right now, and that kind of starts with setting a budget, and budgets is, as boring as they sound, a lot of people are like, they actually are really freeing. They, when you have control of your money and money's not controlling you, so much more freeing. And okay, I'm putting away X and that's going to end up to be Y for my retirement. Like, the peace of mind that creates. One thing I would say for women is, it's great having all your investments, but having an emergency fund is really, really important. And that is, we say about 3 months of expenses, but, even if it's $1,000 or $500, a pool of money that isn't invested, that you can dip into should anything happen.
If it's invested, though, you can get it out relatively quick, can't you?
Yes, but when we invest, we were investing for kind of 5 years plus, because
you're going long term.
Yes, and the market goes up and down, and stocks go up and down, and the last thing you want
is to pull it out on a low. Yeah.
And that's why when older people, when you get to retirement, you move from like a growth fund or something that's going to jump around a bit to something a bit more conservative, because you're trying to preserve that, because you're now and you're using
accessing it. Yeah.
So it's kind of the same with an emergency fund. You don't want to dip into it one day and be like, oh gosh, it's not what I thought it was, and it's gone down a bit or it's gone up. So you want to protect that, and that's very much for, if you're in a shitty relationship and you're like, well, I can't leave because I don't have any money. If you're in a shitty flatting situation, or a job that you don't like and you want time in between jobs finding, it just provides so much stress relief knowing that you've got that little pool of money.
Just to take a breath and say, what am I doing now?
Yeah, or if you're like, I need to jump on flights to go see a sick friend, or I want to do, just having that freedom that creates to, focus on the emotional side of things if something does happen, or you don't have to worry about the financial stuff. That we've found for our community is, one of the biggest kind of mental game-changing things when it comes to sorting out your finances. And then after that, we say, build your investments. But I think your situation is great. You're doing
Thanks. That's what I really wanted to hear.
I mean, I don't know. It's not financial advice and all of that.
No,
I don't
know.
But it is. You're doing a lot more than a lot of people. And I think that's the thing is also, your situation is so unique to you, and even doing what you're doing, but even learning about it, being open to talking to people and be like, okay, well, where's your KiwiSaver? Or, okay, and how much do you contribute? And
because this never used to be a discussion.
No.
When I was growing up, it just wasn't spoken about.
No.
I knew that I needed my money to work for me, but I didn't know how to do that or what process. And that actually leads me to my next question. And part of the reason that we wanted you on the We Need to Talk podcast today is you've taken a giant leap here, and it just blows my mind that it feels risky. You are creating your own fund.
Yes.
Now, can you explain to me what that is? So people will come to you with their money and you will invest it for them.
Yes.
Wow. Congratulations.
I know. And you say it like that, I'm like, oh gosh.
Look, that is crazy amazing.
You.
I mean, I know that's what you studied, and I know you've worked in this for a long time, but it is a big step, right?
Yes. No, it is a big step, and it's come from years of talking to our community. It was very much, we were educating, and we were having some impact on the global wealth gap, but what we found was that there was still women that were learning, that had been learning with us for years, but weren't actually doing anything.
Weren't actually investing.
And we were like, hang on, what's happening here? Like, why
you've lost these years? You can do this.
And we were like, what is still a barrier for you? What is still not making you take that leap? And we would be educating about, you need to invest, you need to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And then they'd go back out into this finance world and be like, oh gosh, this still doesn't make sense.
Too hard, too scary.
There's all these different funds with different names, like aggressive and balanced and conservative. And then there's, Sharesies is such a great platform. And, they'd go on there, but they'd still be like, oh, do I buy Amazon or do I buy Tesla or do I,
It was like me. I went on Sharesies initially and then I went, okay, now what do I do?
Yes.
I've gone on Sharesies, but I click here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so we were like, how cool would it be if we can give women the confidence and the knowledge but also help them grow their wealth, but with the knowledge overlay. So there's still going to be, the fund is going to be completely transparent. You will know where your money is down to the very last dollar, where you will have access in terms of the decisions that we're making. So you're kind of coming on the journey with us.
Yeah.
It's not you're handing off
No.
and see you later. I mean, you can if you want. That's absolutely fine as well.
That's probably what I would do.
Which is great. You're still growing your money. But we just wanted to kind of continue that journey and that hand holding and really make a difference with the gender wealth gap and actually help women grow their wealth because, there was still so many women out there that weren't actually making a change and actually investing more So there's knowledge, but there's also the doing that we needed women to do.
Make We Need to Talk podcast a preset on your iHeart app. Just tap and never miss an episode.
Because of the position you're in, you've left your job, you've gone out on your own and, you've got your finger in a lot of different pies now. Do you look at people that are simply earning a salary and think there's a better way to do this or you could be doing something on the side?
Good question. When we talk about investing, we talk about, diversifying your investments. Like you were saying, you've got your KiwiSaver, your house, you've got another investment fund, and that's great. If you only have your salary, that you're only relying on that kind of one source of income, you need to look at yourself as trying to diverse your income as well.
Yep.
And whether that is, having investments on the side that are growing. So therefore, if you lost your job, you do have something
that
there.
would keep ticking over.
Yeah. I mean, I am case in point of do what I say, not what I do, because I've got my salary from the curve, I've got investment in the curve. But anyway, it's trying to diversify and reduce your own risk, essentially, because, the more that you can do that, the more if the world takes a direction that we don't expect.
Like we saw with COVID, like we've seen with the Iranian war.
Yeah. But investing is a way that you can really get ahead much quicker. And I don't mean quicker as in, 3 months, 6. I mean, like it just helps you. Yes, you still have to take a long-term view and you need patience, but honestly, you will blink and 10 years would have gone by. And
I can attest to that.
Kicking myself, I didn't put more money in my 20s into my investments.
Even sitting here as a mum of 3. So I've got a 13-year-old, 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. And we have very recently got them all a fund with Milford, right?
Yes.
So that you have to have $1,000 to start their account and then you could put money in from the grandparents or you could set up a little automatic payment. I wished I'd done that when they were born. I don't know why I didn't do that. I guess there's more education now. But then it's also never too late to start either.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Because it's only going to benefit you the quicker you start.
And there's lots of different things you can invest in. Like, yes, when you're younger, when your kids investing, and we have so many women on our platform that are, how do I get started? How do I get my kids started when it comes to investing? Because they have felt like they have left it too late or, haven't had the knowledge and they don't want their daughters or sons to feel the same way. So we have the ability to for kids to open parents to open accounts for their kids. We're also one of the lowest minimums in the industry. So we'll be $500. Oh,
that's good. That's nice.
And also that kind of comes into the women as, the women angle in terms of women earning less than men and, just we didn't want to be like, everyone can invest and then actually you need this much to actually get started. And the beauty of today is we've got platforms like Sharesies and stuff that have made it so accessible that, children can start and grandparents can put money in. And that was honestly, I think there was a stat that it was if every child had $1,000 invested when they were born, when they'd have about $500,000 at 65.
Yes, I actually saw that because politically, I think David Seymour from the ACT Party came out and said he was going to put that into high schools and teach them about it. And I actually quite liked that. I thought I would have loved that at school because it would show you the benefit of the compounding interest.
Totally, and you start to see it grow, and then it can start that conversation with parents and children around. Okay, well, you can see that money growing. If you put more in, it's going to grow much bigger. And, you forget how young children are when they start picking up conversations about money. And I have set up an account for my niece and nephew, and every Christmas and every birthday.
What a good auntie you are.
Well, I mean, they don't appreciate it now.
No, they're like, we've got the boring auntie that gives us, but one day,
where's the toys?
That will come to fruition.
Exactly.
And they will
like, you'll be able to buy so many toys when you're older. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's because to help educate them on that compounding, and when they get to a certain age, I'll be able to invest in companies they know, whether it's Disney, whether it's Nike or companies like that, and that even starts an even deeper conversation. And so, it's just you'd be surprised how young kids pick up conversations about money and start learning about money. If you think it's what is the right age, just start having those conversations as soon as possible. I think
that must be a real skill, having to work out where to invest the money.
Yes.
And I mean, that is this new venture with this new investment fund. Is it quite mind-boggling? One, the sheer amount of companies you can invest in, and I guess there'd be endless data to go over.
Yes, and yes. Yeah. I like to invest in companies that, and this fund is going to have kind of a preference for female-led businesses. Unfortunately, there's not enough for the whole fund to be female-led businesses, but we're hopefully going to move the needle a bit with that. But female-led businesses, founder-led businesses are a big one that I really like investing in, and that's because they run those businesses like you invest. They're taking a long-term view. It's like a prime minister that comes in, does 4 years, puts their stamp on it, and then leaves. Yeah, and so a founder kind of creates that longevity when they're looking at making decisions when it comes to the business.
And that real care factor is there.
Exactly, yeah. And usually they've got a lot invested in the business as well. So when you do well, they do well. And then the last kind of preference the preference bucket is future-focused businesses. And that is, we have found over the years, women tend to invest with a lens of how will this impact the next generation, or is this a company that I want to see bigger and better in the future? Because when you invest, you're buying a tiny share of that business. You're becoming a part owner. So you are voting with your wallet. You're saying, yes, I want you to be bigger and better in the future. I'll give you my money to keep growing. And so it's investing in or backing companies that are from technology to sustainability to, having a social impact, all of those companies that treat their staff well,
yes.
all of those criteria come into the decision making.
Particularly when you put it like you just did, you're a part owner.
Yes.
Do you want to be backing this company? Does it align with your values?
Yes, exactly. And if you're like, look, social media companies absolutely do not want to back them. I think they're toxic for children, and whatever your decision making is, then you wouldn't invest in those.
Yes.
And so with this fund, we are being very transparent about what we will and won't invest in. And you'll be able to see, a lot of funds management companies, you only see the top holdings and the top companies they invest in. And we are going to disclose everything. And that means, it's your money. You should know down to the dollar where it's invested. And yes, that might open us up to some scrutiny, but it's also having a conversation about it. That we chose to invest in this because of X, Y, Z. And it is hard to cover so many companies, but we've got some kind of AI research platform that is also helping us, make sure that we aren't missing any opportunities.
Great. How many people do you expect to have on your books?
Oh gosh, I mean, we're targeting about 25 million by the end of the year.
Oh gosh,
yeah. So we've got some growth ahead of us, but also our community has been so supportive, and we have the biggest thing when it comes to this industry is trust. People are trusting you with their money, and so I think.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
How do you make money? You must be able to clip the ticket somewhere.
You pay a fee. Yes.
You pay a fee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that for me, and I've got my funds invested.
Yes. So because we're doing you a service,
yes.
and we are taking away that kind of decision making for you, we charge a fee for that.
Yes.
And we also, that is a flat fee, 1.5%.
Yep.
And that covers everything from trading to we're doing still a lot of educational content around the side. You have access to me as a portfolio manager. We'll do monthly updates, like all of that stuff.
All of that.
Yeah, we've got some pretty exciting plans in the future future funds, future products. So this is just the starting point. And yeah, it's very much a kind of give it a go, see, we want feedback. We want, we've actually created a function where you can submit ideas. If there's companies that you see that are doing really well out there, or, that are doing some pretty niche, cool things, let us know. Like it could end up in the fund. So
what's it called and how do people sign up?
Yes, so it's called the Curve Fund. Very original.
Good. Well, you got to go with what people know, right?
It was kind of a placeholder and then it just stuck. It's called the Curve Fund, and you can find it through thecurveinvestments.co.nz. So that's our investments arm of the business. And you can apply on there. You can ask any questions that you have, all the kind of the offer documents, disclosures, all those legal fun stuff that we have to have is on the website too. So make sure you have a read of that before you invest. Yeah, we're really excited, and it is going to be what I believe to be the first female-focused fund in the world in terms of having a majority female investor base, majority female team making the decisions, and investing in
female-founded company. I love it. Victoria, it's been such a pleasure to have you on, and I love what you're doing. I'm in awe, actually, that you are just so efficient in talking all things finance and doing this for people that, like me, aren't schooled up on it. So congratulations, and I look forward to following your business with real interest.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to We Need to Talk. Contact us on Instagram at We Need to Talk with Toni Street, or email we need to talk@coastonline.co.nz.